Hey guys, it's Snailbiter, and I've got another World of Tanks replay here. This is a round with the RU-251 on Ruinberg. The RU-251 is the Tier 8 German light tank that was added back in the 9.3 patch. And I actually enjoy this tank quite a bit. I've played it a fair amount, especially in strongholds. It gets used quite a bit. And it's an interesting tank. It has a few fairly unique features to it. It is one of the fastest tanks in the game. I think its top speed is 80 kilometers per hour, which I believe is actually the highest top speed in the game. Although that being said, its acceleration isn't great, and it also loses a lot of speed when it's turning. But in a straight line, you won't be beaten by any other tank in the game. It also has, it has pretty poor gun depression over the front and back of the tank. It has minus 10 degrees over the side, and so that's something that you can definitely take advantage of quite a bit when either poking over hills or just trying to take quick snapshots at the enemy. You'll be able to get quite a few more shots in if you peek over the side of the tank than if you try to peek over the front. So that's definitely something else that you can take advantage of. The one maybe downside I'd say this tank that's kind of weird with this tank is the AP shell's shell velocity is pretty slow. It's actually quite noticeable, and so that makes sniping kind of difficult in this tank, especially if the enemy is fast and a small target. It can be kind of hard to get your shots to hit, especially when you're trying to hit weak points. The heat shell actually has a higher shell velocity than the AP shell. And the other interesting thing about this tank's gun is that it gets a HES shell instead of an HE shell, and that actually does come in handy quite a bit when you're facing enemy light tanks in particular, or even when you're just flanking other tier 8 tanks. You can actually shoot them in the back, and generally those shots will go through. I think the pen it's 102, which is pretty decent, and that extra damage that you get is quite helpful. So as I said, this was around on Ruinberg. It's a tier 10 matchup, so I've got to be a little bit careful with how I play. We've sent a fair number of tanks to the field. It's actually pretty evenly split, I'd say. But I was thinking initially that we needed to make sure we win this flank, because typically you see a lot more people go city than field on this map when it's standard battle. So I saw that the zero line was clear, and so I moved down here to try to get some flank shots on the heavy tank that the enemy sent into the small city. The nice thing about the spawning on the north side on this map is that, especially in a light tank, it's much faster from the north to get to that E line, so you can spot anything that's trying to cross into the small village area. And so because of that, we were able to, you saw that the Leo 1 got kind of caught out in the open, and we were able to get him killed because he just couldn't get to the village fast enough. So getting those early spots is really helpful on this map. And I'm just trying to get flank shots where I can on these heavy tanks that haven't really moved up, but they're just hanging out in these buildings. There actually are quite a few. I was actually surprised at how many heavy tanks the enemy sent into that area. Usually you see more go city. And there's enough camo over here that I don't really have to worry about getting spotted. And these bushes are providing me enough camo. This round is definitely close, though. I think we maybe were a little bit too aggressive on this field. And my guess is the other people weren't really expecting there to be so many heavy tanks down here, and so they probably got caught out a little bit. And this is something that I like to do a lot with light tanks and even medium tanks with good camo, and you can probably do it with TDs as well. But you can actually spot for yourself through these bushes, and then if you reverse to the point where you can't actually see through the bush, then you'll get some camo when you shoot through the bush. And especially with light tank, you generally won't get spotted. So I can just drive up to this bush. If I can't spot this WZ-111, I can just drive up to the bush and make sure that I spot him, and then I'll reverse to the point where I can't actually see through the bushes in front of me, and he won't be able to spot me. I do have to be a bit careful as I'm doing this, because I don't want to be taking my time too much and then let the rest of my team lose too much of its health. So if the enemy starts to push, I'll probably have to actually get more involved in the fight. But as long as it's a bit of a stalemate, I can just take my time and take out this Wheezy 111 without really having to expose myself. So I can just shoot him through this bush without him being able to spot me because I'm far enough behind it. And as you can see, the pen on the AP shell is enough to go through the lower plate of the Wheezy 111, although he wasn't angled at all, so that probably helps. Now it's still a pretty close round, and our guys in the field are pushing. I actually decided, instead of going directly into clearing up the field, that since our city was a little bit undermanned, I'd try to help them out first, and so I went over here to see if I could get shots on the TDs in this area, and this is where sniping of this tank is a little bit tricky. Fortunately, I have the back of the E4, so it's I don't really have to aim too much, and that was a bit of a lucky shot there, but you can definitely see the slow shell velocity in that circumstance, where it's almost like firing a derp gun with HE rounds. It's the AP shell is very slow. So I kill the E4, and now I'm just going to run over here and help out these heavy tanks and make sure that we can finish off this ISA without losing anybody else. I'm just going to get to his side, and they take him out. So now we're in pretty good shape. I just want to make sure, and the waffle's a one-shot, so the only concern was really that the waffle could clip us out, but the E75 takes him out, so it's really just cleanup at this point. So generally what I like to do with the RU-251, and really with any light tank in a high-tier match, is try to get spots early on, and then do damage where you can without exposing yourself to too much fire or too much danger. And then towards the end, try to go in and get some flanking shots, and basically just rush the enemy there and just try to provide like a different angle of fire for your team. Now it's just a matter of chasing down this 704. It looks like it was actually trying to track down the E75. So I'm going, high 60s with this tank, and on flat ground, this thing will get around very quickly. I'm actually out of AP shells now, so I have to fire heat. And I'll get this guy's back, and it's just a matter of time. So this actually ended up being a pretty good game with the RU-251, as the FE-215B gets the kill. Just about 4k damage and a couple of kills, and we were able to pretty much take out that Wheezy 111 from full health without him ever even having a shot on us. I don't think he ever really spotted us over in that J0 corner. So that's definitely something you can try to do with light tanks when you're in a situation that in a bit more of a ranged encounter, and there's bushes around that you can use for camo. You can spot through the bushes, and then if you reverse to the point where you can't see through the bush anymore, it'll provide you that cover where you won't actually get spotted when you shoot the whatever tank is in front of you. You have to be a little bit careful when you do that, and it really only works with tanks with really good camo. But that is something that you can try out, and it can be really effective in certain situations. So let me show you guys the post-game stats. And here are the post-game stats. I ended up actually doing about 4,500 damage, so I think a few of my blind shots hit. And I got 1,350 base experience. Not quite enough for an ace tanker, but still a pretty good round with the RU-251. I think I got top damage on my team in a tier 10 battle, which is always good. So anyway, I think this tank it's a lot of fun to play. It is a little weird with the shell velocity of the AP round, but otherwise there really aren't too many downsides to this tank. It has the gun depression over the side, which is really helpful, I think. It's got a great top speed. Its DPM is also actually really good. I don't think I mentioned this, but it's got better DPM than most tier 8 medium tanks. I think its reload is 5.35 seconds, which is really good for a gun that does 240 damage. And it also has a pretty good amount of hit points at 1,200, which is almost on par with some medium tanks at tier 8. So it's a really fun tank. Hopefully this round gave you a bit of an idea of some of its strengths and a bit of how to play it. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the replay, and I'll see you guys later.